Is homemade video okay in business? Yes, of course it is. Wait a minute, what? Am I really telling you that making homemade video and putting it out there for your business is okay? After all this talk at Waist Up Wardrobe about professional looking videos and showing up professionally? Yes, and here's why. Because homemade video is your and in your business. It's not your it's your and. It's a great way to supplement, a way to reach your audience on a regular basis. And those of us who are in business who are used to putting out homemade video on a regular basis off the cuff really look professional. We look like we know what we're doing on camera. We're not scared of the camera, and that increases your credibility as a business owner. So today in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio, I'm going to be sharing how I use homemade video in my business to reach my audience. And if you want to learn everything I do and how I do it, you're going to have to stick around to find out. Welcome to Waist Up Wardrobe. I'm Christine Vartanian, a civil engineer and attorney turned personal style expert and image consultant. As the founder of Jade for All Seasons, I am passionate about unveiling the inner confidence of my clients by developing their personal style. But is getting dressed up still important in our virtual world? Well, that's where my experience can help with what I call Waist Up Wardrobe. Waist Up Wardrobe is a podcast for all things you need to conduct an outstanding Zoom meeting. It's about how to dress for the camera, but it's not just about the clothes. It's about everything you need to know to show up on brand and professionally for the camera. Join me in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio to discuss how to navigate this virtual world and dominate from behind the desk. Hi, virtual world. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Waist Up Wardrobe, episode 17. And today we're going to be talking about how to make homemade videos and how to use them and to really do it intentionally and by design. So even though it's a homemade video, it really is very intentional. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, we're navigating this virtual world, and Waist Up Wardrobe is about how to show up on camera looking sharp, looking professional. But today we're talking a little bit about another added part of the virtual world, creating these videos right off the cuff, spontaneously, that can help you connect with your audience. So that's our focus today. And even though we're always talking about being professional, I just want to really mention that doing homemade video as an add-on in your business can make you look super professional. The reason is it really heightens your credibility to your audience. It shows your audience that you're comfortable showing up and talking about your business and connecting with them. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get started, I just want to welcome everybody. I also want to give a shout out to my producer, Rick Moscoso, who's always here behind the scenes, working this amazing show and making it look great. Hi, Rick. How are you?
Hey, Christine.
Sporting the waistUPwardrobe cap. You know,
I am.
you've got the branding down as always.
Of course.
Today's topic is really interesting because it's something I use all the time. I know you use it all the time in your business too, Rick. So I really am going to be like talking back and forth with you so that we can give as much great information to our audience of how to really put this into play for their business. We have so many tools and resources today to offer you guys, and we really want to make sure that you are using this right now in your business. Because again, remember, we used to meet one-on-one a lot on a regular basis. Now we've scaled back a little bit. So this is a great opportunity to really put this part of this tool into practice for business. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. I just want to remind everybody, we want your comments, we want your questions, and we want that dialogue back and forth because this waistUPwardrobe podcast is all about how to elevate you in your business, in your virtual world, to make you really stand out as a business and do things differently than other people do. And that's the benefit of really being able to be a part of this audience and this community here. So today, like every other time, this is another episode that is added to the library of waistUPwardrobe that helps you really create that outstanding virtual presence, not only in your virtual room, but really in your business as a whole. So that's what we're going to be tackling today. Of course, waistUPwardrobe is not just about the clothes, right? It's about everything that goes into showing up in this box, looking professional, and everything you put out to your audience virtually. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And again, we want your comments in the box. We want to hear what you have to say. Please dialogue with us and let us know your thoughts about what we're saying and how this stuff is resonating with you. The first thing I wanted to talk about is, homemade videos. I kind of want to define that a little bit. Homemade videos versus professional videos, okay? What is the difference, really? Well, I mean, you can tell by the name, homemade videos is something you do yourself at home. But there are different kinds of homemade videos, right? There's video texting. That means you get on video and you text to an individual. It could be about anything that you want to talk about. It could be you trying to engage somebody in a sale. It could be you saying thank you to a client. It could be you trying to connect in a way that is, not person to person, because this is different. It's more of a special customized message through video. But it's not one that you're setting up lights and a studio and really putting a lot of thought into it. It's more of an effortless video. It's something you're doing not necessarily with a videographer. It's something you're creating yourself. But it is, and it seems like sometimes it can come off as messy or imperfect. But that's what is perfect about it. It's intentionally imperfect. It's perfectly imperfect. It's messy. It's not staged. It's authentic. And that's what makes it authentic, is just doing it off the cuff and doing it in a spontaneous way. And homemade video, like I said earlier, is it's not your it. It is just another tool for you in your toolbox to reach your audience on a regular basis, on a consistent basis. So you want to be able to, of course, put out professional videos, but it doesn't mean you discount the validity and the impact of those off-the-cuff homemade videos. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today. So why do it? Why is homemade video important for business? It's important for business because you want to create those consistent connections, right? Sometimes you have a client that you've worked with a year ago. You haven't seen them in a while, and you kind of want to connect with them. You want to engage them in a new program that you're creating, or you want to get their opinion, or you just want to say hello, because the connections we make with our clients are not just about business. They really are about the human connections, how we help them, how we serve them, right? So you want to really maintain that connection. Also, being accessible to your client. It is the coolest thing. When I send out a video to a client off the cuff, which usually is in the form of a video text, that means I take a short video and I text it to them. And then I pop up in their text messages. They get so thrilled. They never ignore it. You know, when you text somebody, sometimes they're busy, they don't notice it, and then they forget to respond to it. But when you're texting somebody a video of yourself, saying something to them, reaching out to them on something, they are compelled to watch that. It's hard to ignore. And if they forget about it in that moment, they come back to it. That's why it's so effective to get your message across. It is so effective to get your message across with video texting that if you don't do it, you are actually missing an opportunity. Kristen Levine is here with us in the studio, and she is saying that she loves this topic. And I'm sure she's used video texting before in her business because she is a pet influencer and she knows how impactful this can be. And sometimes we'll use it and we won't use it again. We won't come back to it. And that's such a shame because it really can make strong connections. People don't think about it. So if you as a business owner start using video texting on a regular basis to reach your audience, whether it's a client or a colleague or a team member, you really are different. You stand out as different. So the reason we use homemade video is because it helps establish a connection, and it also gives accessibility of us to people that they wouldn't otherwise think they had. And it gets you on video, and it gets you kind of doing it without fussing over it so much. So if you're somebody who really knows you need to use video in your business, but you feel like, it just feels daunting to get on camera and to do that, you're a little bit camera shy, video texting is a great way to do it because here's the thing. It's a very low risk video. You get on, you're not expected to look completely on point. But you find yourself really making an impact with just being in somebody's video texting, in their text messages. Grace Holden is on, and thank you for joining us, Grace. And she's liking this topic, and she's saying that video texting is now on her list, and it should be. Thank you for saying that, Grace. It should be really on everybody's list. So here's the thing: say you're not in business. Say you don't really. You're not a business owner, you're not an entrepreneur. Say you're an employee. Again, video texting should be so key, especially now that a lot of us are in the virtual world, by connecting with your teammates. Starting a conversation instead of starting a group chat. Start texting your teammates about things that you guys are looking forward to, things that you want to do for the company. Texting your boss, letting them know that you're thinking about new ways to grow and new ways to do things. So or if you're the boss of somebody, it's a great way to text your subordinates and to tell them about new things in the business or what you expect of them. It's just a really great human way to stay connected. Now, some people have asked me, isn't like homemade videos kind of messy and they don't really, they're kind of sloppy. They don't really look professional. Here's the thing. Homemade video is supposed to be that way. It's expected to be sloppy and messy and imperfect. And that's why it is a very low risk video to do. You're not going to be judged by the person that's receiving the text on terrible lighting, or that you're not saying the right thing in the right order, or that you're not, you're not completely perfectly dressed or coiffed. You're not, because this is an off the cuff, spontaneous video. And that's what makes it so great and easy to use. The only thing that doesn't make it easy is that we shy away from it because we feel like we're camera shy. And the best way to get over that is to do it over and over again. And I'm gonna sit here and tell you about a new project that I've undertaken. Actually, it's this new resource that I'm gonna be putting in the video chat, in the comment box. It is a link to a new program that my good friends and video producers, the Geffner, started. It's called Video Attraction Lab, and they are coaching their audience on how to really put out video themselves on a regular basis. And they're really, really digging deep and giving people challenges. So I'm going to be putting that link in the comment box. If you want to check out what they're doing and how they're doing it, I recommend you go and find out about it, because they only open enrollment a few times a year. And I actually don't know if it's open at this point, but you can get on a waiting list. If you really want to start using video on a regular basis, it's a great place to start. You get a lot of accountability, you get help, you get guidance, you get feedback, and it's a great community that knows how important video is. And don't really worry about homemade video being, not perfect, because that's actually what makes it feel and look authentic, right? We talk a lot about authenticity in the world of business nowadays in 2020 and 21st century. People want you to be authentic. They want to see you come through. They want to see the true you, the real you. So when you start doing video that is homemade or not necessarily perfect, that you're just doing spontaneously, people get to see a little bit into your life that way, and a little bit into how you interact if you're not, perfectly in your business gear and your business mode. And it gives them a sense of closest to you and getting to know you better. So that's another reason why homemade video has really up-leveled what a lot of people are doing when they're putting it into practice. Now, homemade video texting is not the only homemade video that we're going to be talking about today. There's also going live on video, right? If you're going live on Facebook off the cuff, spontaneously, or if you're going live on Instagram, those are on HGTV. Those are other ways of doing quick, spontaneous videos. And there's so many things you can do when you're content you can do. Now, here's the thing. What's really important is to have a goal in mind when you're doing a homemade video. If there's nothing else that's important about homemade video, whether how you look, where you're at, your perfect lighting, the one thing that is important about video making when you're putting it out in yourself, and you're making it yourself and producing it yourself, is that you have to have a goal. You have to have a reason and a purpose for doing that. I use video text messaging all the time, and I do it particularly to reach clients, thanking them for attending a workshop. That's a great way to say thank you. There's no strings attached. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to engage them in anything. You're simply saying that you appreciate them and you feel grateful for their attendance. And how wonderful for them to feel that and to get this pop-up message of you in their text message and realize that you are being grateful for their presence in your life and for really trusting them for what they offer as an expert. You can also use video, homemade video, like if you're going live on how-to video. Say you're a makeup artist and you're doing a how-to video on, how to put dramatic eyeliner or eyeshadow on, right? It's a great forum to do that in. You put your live camera on. You're not necessarily perfect because of course you're doing that transformation video, and you go on and people want to see this. They love seeing transformations. They love seeing what you would look before makeup and then what you would look without makeup, which also kind of brings me to an interesting point. And that is that sometimes when we're in business for ourselves and we're very professional, especially if we're in the beauty and fashion industry, we want to look on point all the time because we figure our clients, if they're going to come to us and engage us in services, we have to look the part, much like what I do in my business, right? I have to always be dressed well. I always have to have makeup on and have my hair done and really practice what I preach. But it was so interesting to me because I got some feedback from somebody in one of my groups, my professional business groups. And they said to me, Christine, I would love to see the transformation that goes on behind the scenes because I know you don't always look so put together. And I'm like, yes, that's so true. And I wouldn't dare come on camera and not put together because that's what I do. But I'm going to be putting together a segment of videos showing you a day in the life of Christine, how it all starts and the transformation that happens because, none of us live a life where we are always coiffed and looking our best. We do that because it's important in business to put our best face forward and our best foot forward. But there's that transformation that happens to every single person. If you are, even when you're a movie stars, they have glam squads that follow them around, right? To get that transformation so they show up looking their best on camera. So I'm going to be doing a series of homemade videos, and that's going to be coming to you very soon on how I wake up in the morning and the whole transformation from makeup to pajamas to sweatpants to getting ready for the show, and how that transformation, what that transformation looks like. So I want to give a thank you to that person in that business group that gave me that suggestion, because you know what, we all want to come through as the real person that we are. We want people to see who we are, and the part of us is what happens behind the scenes. So homemade video, going live or creating video at home that shows those parts of our lives can be so impactful for our audience. And Kristen Levine is chiming in here and she's saying, I can't wait to see that video. And thank you for saying that, Kristen. I guess you're seconding the motion of the person who suggested to do that. Yeah, I can't wait to make them. I have to admit, I'm a little bit camera shy about waking up without my contact lenses on, with my glasses on instead, and putting that in front of the camera. But you know what? I get that question all the time. And so I really want to share that, because I think it makes us all feel like this is a partnership in business. We all want to see what happens behind the scene, how people get transformed, because, maybe you want to implement some of those things. We want to see the true people behind the scenes. And that's the most interesting thing about people and business owners. So yeah, that is coming to you soon. I think I'm going to do it in segments though, because I don't know exactly how to produce a homemade video that is a continuous me waking up to me being right here on camera. So, but I think it'll be interesting. It'll be a really good learning curve for me. And I think it could help other people in this sort of, a fashion industry or beauty industry in doing things like that. Because, we all want to see what those movie stars look like behind the scenes, but they'll never show us. Well, sometimes they do, but they have glam squads, right? We all know that. We just want to see the transformation, because then everything becomes possible for everybody that, isn't used to putting on a lot of makeup or isn't used to really dressing up really in layers or in a certain way. So that's coming to you soon. So doing homemade videos more about, it's not just about video texting. It's not just about going live. It's also everything you put out there. I mean, people can do homemade videos and they put on YouTube, because if that's what they're used to doing and they're comfortable with that, it's another way to get that kind of video out there to your audience. So there are different types of videos, as I've already said. The homemade video world, there's a professional video, and then there's also the in-between. Those videos that you do partly, and then you give it to others to edit. You could give it to your teenagers to edit for you, but you can also give it to a professional to edit. And that is sort of the spectrum of video making, right? And all this is relevant to Waist Up Wardrobe, because showing up on video in those different arenas, you have to style yourself differently. You have to look differently, and especially with the homemade videos, you want to make sure that you're doing them spontaneously. Now, you could do a homemade video with your phone, which is what I do a lot. The phone camera is so great. And this is actually where Rick, my producer, could be very, very helpful in giving his input. Rick is, in the studio, and he's going to pop up here really quickly because I want to ask him what he thinks. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I wanted to ask you what you think about when you were making homemade videos. I know you have lots of experience doing this. You do it yourself. You've consulted with clients in doing this. You really understand this world. When people are doing homemade videos, in terms of equipment, when it comes to equipment, what is ideal to use? I always use my phone, but I know there's other ways to create those homemade videos. Can you give the audience a sense of the technical, like the tools that are used?
Well, yeah, the most readily available tool is your mobile phone, right? And the quality on those is just, it's increasing every year. The technology is getting better and better and better, and so why not use it? Because you have it with you all the time. Obviously you can use the phone, you can use any type of mobile device. You could sit at your computer and just use your webcam. So you have a lot of different tools, but I particularly, if I'm doing that type of video, like on the go video or just something impromptu, or I'm going to text something to a client, like you said, since this is with me, it's so easy because I don't have to go back to the studio or my office to record something, I can do this at any location. I mean, if you remember when we first met years ago, and you were just getting into video, I think I had a I had a propensity to put you on the spot and say, "Hey, let's do a Facebook Live right now," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, so it's convenient, it's great, it gets you kind of in a rhythm to talking to your audience, or just getting the content out there, and the more you do it, the Google loves that stuff. If you're posting it to YouTube or something like that, but use your phone. It's with you all the time.
Yeah, no, I think definitely at the beginning I was very timid about going live on Facebook. It's just that nerves, anxiety, and the newness of it. But nowadays it's so important to be doing that. Everybody who's in business, who understands how to reach their audience, knows how important video is. Even more important now that many of us are working from home, and the phone makes it easy. I mean, it can't be any easier, right? There's very low risk in putting out a homemade video, because it really is designed to be something short and sweet too, especially if you're doing a video text. When I do a video text, I keep it under a minute. I mean, more or less, but it's just designed to be a pop-in. I'm popping in to say hello. I'm popping in to say thank you for showing up. I'm popping in to say thank you for trusting me with your styling needs. It's short and sweet. And of course, if you are texting video, you have to keep it short. Otherwise you run into the problems and the trouble of kind of getting it to reach the person's intended, because of just how big it could be. What is your my experience is I keep it under a minute. I'm safe with that. I try at least. What's your experience with that? Is there?
Yeah. Well, there's two things. If you use video texting to communicate between clients, it's usually in a response to a question. You're not in a long form video where you're doing a how-to. It's a short response. Plus, you kind of you put yourself above your competition, or above other vendors maybe that they're interacting with, because now there's always a face to the response, right? It's not just text, and you hear the inflections in a voice, you hear the excitement, or the response is purposeful because you're able to emote the answer to your client much better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the difference between, typing in text and actually being on video. They see your personality, they see how your excitement, your enthusiasm, and they kind of they feel like you're right there. Sometimes I'm on video, I'm like, hi, I want to reach out to my audience. And it is very much more interactive. They get to read your body language, and of course, your excitement about interacting with them. But, also I just want to point out to our audience that professional video is really important too in business. I mean, on my website, I have a professional branding video, and that's really important. Everybody should really consider having a branding video, because that really, is more professional, and it shows that you really are a serious business owner. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the videos that's a must for any business owner, and that's a branding video, right?
Yeah.
That tells people, or communicates to people, who you are, why you do what you do, and here's how I do it, right? That is definitely a must.
Right. And if anybody wants to see an example of a branding video, we did a little twist on my branding video where I give a tour of my whole space and workshop. But go to jadeforallseasons.com, and on the homepage, you'll find my branding video and the tour of the whole house of Jade, and how we do the magic that we do and where we do it. That was quite the endeavor, wouldn't you say, Rick? We did a continuous 10-minute video, nonstop. It was unedited. I mean, we had a lot of takes. I think, 17 takes up and down all the rooms. But, everybody needs to have a branding video. It doesn't have to be in that form, but it should be something that showcases your business from a very professional way, in a very professional way.
Yeah.
And then there's, were you going to say something about that, Rick?
No. I mean, that was quite the endeavor we did. And the funny thing is, even though it was done professionally, it was a little bit. I think you wanted to kind of communicate a feeling of who, kind of a day-to-day Christine, not so, dressed up all the time type of thing, but it was more of a banter back and forth with me off, in the background behind the camera, but yet it was more of a conversational thing rather than a pitch,
Right. It was about, all those questions that people ask me when it comes to Jade for All Seasons, but also when it comes to my personal life, like, what's your favorite color, that kind of thing. But Rick, Grace is asking, can you give the web link again? So we're talking about the link to the branding video. Can we do a direct link to the video? It's found on the homepage of jadeforallseasons.com, which is my overarching business, jadeforallseasons.com. But Rick can go ahead and put a link directly to the video. Would that work, Rick?
Yeah. I'll when we break away, or when I break away, I'll get that direct link for you.
Yeah, it's a great sense of my business and the inner workings of it, but also it's a sense. It was really intended to get the audience to get to know me, and I was really well. I mean, I was in my professional attire. It wasn't the thing that I was talking about, that homemade video where I would say, a day in the life of waking up and not being really put together. But it did have a lot of personal twist to it, because there was a lot of sharing about who I am on a personal level. So yeah, it was a fun project. So the moral of the story there is that professional video is really important. You really have to have that in your repertoire. But you also, homemade video is a great add-on, and it is even more important now. Grace, we're going to go ahead and put that link at the end of the show. But if you are trying to find it now, just you can look up jadeforallseasons.com, which is my overarching business, and you'll find the video on the front page. And I think Rick will probably put it in the chat box very shortly here. But the other thing I want to talk about, we talk about homemade videos, we talk about professional videos, but there's somewhere in the middle, there's what I call sort of guided videos. They are videos that you partially, tape yourself, but then you get them edited by somebody. And that there's also a place for that, because if you didn't want to invest in a professional video right off the bat, that's a great way to create a video that it looks very professional, because your editor will then put it together in a way that is very professional. So homemade videos, I feel like, are so easy, even though those other two categories are really important. Homemade videos are really easy to keep you practicing in front of the camera, keep you connecting with your audience. It is a really natural in your natural environment. And I want to share a little bit about like all the different ways that I use homemade videos, particularly text messaging, video texting to reach my audience. I use it to follow up, like I had indicated earlier. When I've served somebody and they, left, I follow up saying, thank you for trusting me with your styling journey, and I can't wait to see you again, and please be well. If you have any questions, let me know. So that sort of is the topic usually. I also will text somebody if I have an idea. Sometimes we were talking about different ideas. We're talking about different ways to add a signature, develop a signature style. And, I'll get the idea and it'll be between sessions with a client. So I'll want to definitely pop into a video and let my client know that I've been thinking about them. I've been thinking about their project. It's on my mind all the time. So I'll pop in on a homemade, video off of my phone, and I'll text it to them about, okay, I thought about this really cool twist that we could add to your signature style. And, just giving them little bits of information in between times that you see your clients could also be a great use of homemade videos. As a thank you, of course, connecting with a potential client. Sometimes you're at a convention, right? And you meet people and they're like, oh, wow, I'd really like to work with you. And then everybody goes home and you might have their card, but sending out an email might kind of get lost in the sea of emails that they're probably getting as follow-ups. But putting out a video in their text messages, now that's something that will stand out. Getting on video for 60 seconds and saying, "Hi, we met at the last convention. It was a pleasure meeting you. I'd love to connect further. What do you think about, getting on a virtual call to talk about how I can serve you in your business, or how I can help elevate your own business?" So, those kind of connections are still budding. It's a great way to reach out to somebody because it's more than just a text, and it's more than just an email. It's your face, and they get to see your emotions and enthusiasm about connecting with them. Also, I use video texting, greeting people like on their birthdays or on special occasions like for Thanksgiving. I'll put a little video text together, and I really like to keep it personal because here's the thing. I think that homemade videos are perfect for the fact that they are personalized and they're custom, right? So I don't necessarily, and you could do this, but I don't necessarily do a mass video text to people. I really customize it. So I'll get on the line, I get on my camera and I'll say, "Hi, Tira, it was a pleasure. It's a pleasure always talking and connecting with you. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy your time with your family." Or, "Hi, Carol, I hope that you're really enjoying this time with your family. I know you're going to be traveling," and really customizing the video. That makes it so, so special, so personalized. People really appreciate when they get something from, somebody, a vendor or somebody that they hired that is personal, because we live in a world where, mass Christmas cards that come at you that are kind of impersonal. I always find it funny when I get like a Christmas card from my window installer. I think it's kind of cool, but it's like, it was just a mass mailer, right? So when you get those personal things, it's really, really, it makes you feel special as a client. The other thing we talked about a little bit, and this is more suitable for going live, is those how-to videos. How do I put dramatic eyeshadow on? How can I, style myself 3 ways with this dress? Those are perfect for going live on video. Of course, you can make a, guided like a do-it-yourself video that is then edited by somebody for that same content. But you can also go live and just show somebody right away how to put something into action. People really, really love that, and they really need it. So those are some other usages for video. There's more, clients are not the only people that you can reach out to on video text, right? You can also reach out to colleagues. You can reach out to colleagues by saying, "It was wonderful partnering with you on something." They really appreciate it too. It reminds them that you're thinking about them and that you enjoyed that partnership, and that, that there's promise for more, and that you are somebody that they would like to connect with because you are, you think of different ways to connect with them. I love to do little videos of tours. Like if I have an event here and I'm having a special trunk show with a special jeweler, I'll do a little tour of the trunk show, and I'll go live on Facebook and I'll do a little tour of what we're showing and doing. And I know a lot of you have done this before, but it's something that people forget now because, we're just trying to figure out how to connect with people. So, but that's another great use for a homemade video, just a tour of what's going on, behind the scenes, a trunk show that you've brought in that you want to share with your customer base. Again, we talked about, reaching out to people you've collaborated with or partnered with, employees, your team. What a wonderful way to reach out to your team members to tell them, okay, this is what's on, these are our goals for this month, right? Goal 1, 2, and 3. And I just wanted to reach out instead of sending you an email. I just wanted to reach out and let you see me, cheer you on so that we can all reach our mutual goals. The other thing is I was using video texting on a personal level. When my son went to college, I started sending him video texts, and he was like, he's 19, right? So he's like, okay, I'm getting a video text from my mom. This is interesting, but I honestly think that it was kind of made him laugh, made him smile. And if you're a little bit timid about starting video texting or homemade videos, and you're really not sure about putting it out there, a great way to start is with personal videos. So sending it to family members, sending it to mom, sending it to grandma, sending it to people that are close to you that, the very low risk of being judged by how you appear on, you come off on camera. It's a great way to get started, getting your feet wet. And very low risk because, chances are, you're not going to worry about your kids judging you, because that happens all the time and there's nothing new. And if you send it to mom, she's not going to judge you, right? So, when do you choose video texting or those homemade videos versus the professional videos, right? We talked about that they both have a place in your business and your life, really. But when do you choose? When do you start thinking, okay, wait, this particular video is not really suitable for a text video, a video texting project, right? And the way I choose and I decide is that anything under 60 seconds is a great for video texting, because of course it's easy to transport, to send to somebody, and it really, you don't want it to go long and be drawn out on text message. So I use video texting or homemade videos, like going live or making a video at home, when it's short and sweet, and I just kind of want to tell somebody something spontaneous. So that is really kind of definition of a homemade video, right? It's a spontaneous, off the cuff, not planned, not scripted video. So those tend to, usually you want them to be kind of short, because if you're not scripted, sometimes, you feel like, oh, okay, what else am I going to say, right? So keep those short videos, those short communications are great for homemade videos, especially on video texting. And like I said, if you're someone who owns a business, it's always really important to have those branding videos. So that's the professional side. So, like we've been talking about, the basic connection, the basic reason to do a homemade video is because you want to keep those connections alive. And, there's no better time than to keep those connections alive than now when we're seeing each other less and we're interacting with people less. So keeping that connection going with people, also keeping your feet, keeping yourself in the video game. So doing these homemade videos encourages you to keep in the video game, to be consistent about it, and to do them frequently. So that's why when you do homemade video, you find yourself able to do that more easily, because you don't have to script it. You don't have to get ready for it. And again, I'm going to say that the best thing about homemade video is that it's spontaneous and it is very personal. It's very custom to the person you're sending it to. So, we're going to talk a little bit more too about like how to appear on a homemade video, because I know, we've talked so much about that when it comes to Waist Up Wardrobe. So how to appear on video in a homemade video is, remember, this is a spontaneous, non-scripted video. So naturally, you want to be very spontaneous and you want to be natural. So if you're about to do a video on all these different makeup products that you want to show your audience, and you want to apply that on video in this homemade video, you probably don't have any makeup on to start with, right? Because you're not going to have a full face of makeup and do a demonstration with makeup. So it's totally appropriate to show up with no makeup and then to go ahead and apply it and do your how-to video. That is professional, because basically what you're doing is you're teaching and you're showing up authentically, right? And you kind of don't want to over script a homemade video. You don't want to be overdone in a homemade video. You just want to kind of be spontaneous. If you're it also depends on your setting. So if you're at a party and you are expected to be dressed up, it's okay to make a homemade video where you're dressed up. If you are, just getting up out of bed, it's not okay to do a homemade video right out of bed with a full face of makeup. So really, it's all about being spontaneous and authentic. And I kind of want the male perspective on this too, because, it's important for a gentleman to do homemade video too. It's not just about women doing this in their business. It's about gentlemen, because this is a real way to connect. So I'm going to drag Rick out of the green room again, because I kind of want to get your opinion, Rick, about, as a gentleman, and when you do a homemade video, when you do a spontaneous video, how do you show up? I mean, do you really think about that? Are you just being natural? Can you give us some tips, or give the gentleman some tips on that?
No, a lot of times it's very spontaneous. So there's not time, not so much time to prepare. And typically when I think of something, I'm better off doing it right away because I'll probably forget it if I wait till later or wait to come back to the office, to get the message out. So it's very spontaneous. I mean, as a guy, for me, I'm not as conscious on how I look. Of course, you don't want to look really bad, but I mean, it's a secondary thing that I look at because the content or the message that I'm delivering, I think is much more important.
Oh yeah, you talk a lot about that. I mean, it's always about content, right? Mm-hmm. It's always about content. The content is more important than anything, because I've seen people on video that really don't have it like dialed in with their backgrounds, or they're like this in the camera, so they don't really have it down in terms of, their setting and their setup, but their content is so good that people tune in, right? And I heard somebody talking about this not that long ago. And they said that, there's this, and it was somebody that mentioned somebody like this that really delivers amazing content. But when she shows up, she's kind of distracting, right? But she goes, I can't help but listen to her because the content is so valuable. But boy, I wish that somebody would tell her or show her a little bit about how to show up better on camera. I thought it was really interesting. I really did.
Well, you know who the master at that is a guy like Gary V. If you ever watch his videos, they're not high production quality at all, but his content is so powerful and so strong that it's just part of the mantra when you hear a message or you watch a message from Gary V, because it is kind of sloppy, but the message is really good.
Yeah. And then it's almost like a part of his brand now, right?
Right.
It's expected.
Right.
But for those of us who, aren't Gary V, we still want to make sure that we align everything with our brand. But again, the message is always more important. So maybe it's more important for people who really aren't really messing with their background or really trying to focus on the script and all that, to really just focus on doing these spontaneous videos. It's a great way for them to get their message out. And then it just seems right because it is meant to be a live video off the cuff, something spontaneous, not really scripted. And that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that men, they still, if they're interviewing, right? I mean, we've talked about this, interviewing for a job, if they're talking to a client, they really should be dressed up just like us, just like women, right? I mean, you have to show up with your best face forward no matter what. But what we're talking about today is such a subset of video making of the virtual world. It's about how to be okay with not being fully scripted or put together when you're doing a spontaneous video, because that's okay. That is the nature of a homemade video, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's something to be said about spontaneity because they really see your true you, right? Your true character.
Yeah.
Not scripted, not practiced, not, I mean, kind of professional, but yet just spontaneous,
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing with these homemade videos is that the part of it that's professional is that it's actually authentic. That's the professional part. It's so authentic that it is professional. It's just the way it's meant to be. If you overdid it on a spontaneous video, it's not going to be congruent. It's not going to look right. People are smart. They realize and they understand when something isn't right, right? When it's a spontaneous video and you're not like, wait, how is your frame perfectly aligned? How is it that you don't have, like, you're moving around where's the light isn't right? Like, how is it that's so perfect? So I think that the nature of these homemade videos is that it's so spontaneous that it should be a little bit messy. It should be a little bit imperfect. And that's what makes it real and makes it really aligned with your brand. I actually have a thought, like sometimes people, when they're starting to do video texting, they really are a little bit unsure about putting themselves out there in their, that authentic, like with my sweatpants, I'm going to talk about makeup, or I'm going to talk about how to, apply makeup, but I really don't want to show up looking like really messy. My mom taught me something when, whenever we're dressed up for the holiday, that's a best time to take a group picture, a family picture, because everybody's dressed up. So I have all these pictures of my family fully dressed up because every time there's a holiday, every time there's a celebration, even if we're going to a wedding, I gather everybody to take a picture. So The reason this is relevant is because if you are, dressed up for a professional video, and you really have on your list, I want to reach out to clients. A great way to step into this without being fully, and I don't want to say authentic. You always have to be authentic, but fully, like, completely bare with, like, not, like in your natural state, is if you are dressed up already for an occasion. If you're dressed up for a video, get on your homemade video, get on your camera and make some homemade videos of some messages that you want to send out to clients. It's a perfect day to do that. When you're recording something important, you're dressed up for an occasion for something important. It's a great time to kind of get your feet wet and start doing some homemade videos. And even though you might be perfectly dressed or fully on point with your image in that moment, it's a good start, because sometimes we feel a little bit vulnerable getting on camera, without makeup or not really well dressed, because it's hard. It is hard. Human nature wants to show up looking their best. So I recommend that if you are somebody who is shying away from the video texting, but you really are interested in doing it, a great way to start is with, reaching out to those people who are close to you with video texting. Or if you're fully dressed up one day, just sit down and make some home videos and send them to your clients, and that will get you started and rolling on that. I really appreciate this. This episode was so exciting for me to do, because I know how video texting impacts my audience. When I send video texting, I always get an answer. I can guarantee you, if you video text a client or you video text a friend, they are not going to not respond. They are always going to respond in some form. So it always incites a response. And so why wouldn't you want that, right? When you're trying to talk to somebody and engage with somebody and make a connection with somebody. So just a few things on showing up on these homemade videos. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. The alignment of your frame and your space doesn't have to be perfect. But you can, and you could be in your natural state. If you're just waking up out of bed and you're trying to show people, how you get out of bed, that's totally fine. But if you wanted to just like be a little bit more refined on a home video, just make sure you put a little bit of makeup. You want to put your lipstick maybe and blush, and that's fine, because this is a homemade video. People get that you're just doing it off the cuff. So if you just want to enhance your features a little bit, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just that, and it might give you a little bit extra confidence to go out and do it. Whatever gets you doing it and putting it into action, you can go ahead and do that. If you're going to do anything with makeup, if you don't want to do heavy makeup like for the camera, just do lipstick and blush. As far as hair goes, it really depends. If you're doing a hair tutorial, people are going to expect you to show up on camera with your hair unmade or not uncoiffed, right? Because you're going to take them through the process of getting to that final step of a great look. So it just depends about really what you're doing. You want to come off as no fuss. This was effortless. I just jumped on camera and I created this video. And so I'm sure there's a lot of products. We talked about starting with your camera, with your own phone. But I actually kind of want Rick to chime in again here and give us some idea of products that would be really useful when creating these home videos. I know I use a tripod sometimes. Rick, what other ideas do you have in terms of products that will help with those homemade videos?
Sure. Keep in mind that the steadier you can get your device, like your phone, the better. So, in Christine's case, she does it on a tripod. I always get a lot of funny dad feedback from my daughters because I have one of these. I don't know if you can see it, right?
The selfie stick?
The selfie stick, right? And I'll use this every once in a while, especially if I'm walking around. Yeah. I have a couple of real estate agents who still use their, selfie sticks, their old school selfie sticks when they walk around a property and they're showing it. And it is steadier than trying to hold a phone, at arm's length. It looks kind of weird too when you're holding it, because you can see part of your arm in the camera. And, sometimes they're just, you're not in the best position sometimes, and so by holding it with a stick or a stabilizer, there's a number of pretty inexpensive electronic gyroscopic stabilizers that you can use that will mount very easily with a phone. So that gets a little bit more. I mean, if you're like techie stuff like that, then sure, go ahead and do it. But I think the easiest thing for you to do is if you're in one spot, you're going to be stationary, definitely try and use a tripod, because that'll get you the most steadiest shot, for your response.
Yeah, I mean, I use a tripod because I want to be able sometimes to demonstrate, like show people clothes. I do that a lot with my video texting. Like if I was curating clothes for them, I would show them some things on a video text really quick that they might be interested in. It's always a really great sales tool. So I use that, but I like to have a tripod because I need to walk away sometimes from the camera and I need to use my hands to demonstrate. So I use a tripod for that. I also take advantage of natural light, because this is a spontaneous feel. I like to open my windows or open my French doors and have the light face my face. And that actually gives a very natural sensation that it's just, spontaneous and off the cuff. So I use a tripod. A selfie stick is a great suggestion because it does get complicated if you're holding it with your hand. Mm-hmm. People can use their iPads or computers to do that too, to record a video, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any type of mobile device is good. I mean, the cameras on them are so good now.
Yeah.
That use what you have at hand. There's not a bad device out there that'll give you poor results.
Yeah. And if you wanted to just take it one notch up, if you don't have really great natural light access to that, then a ring light in front of you can also be helpful. I know that starting to become a little bit staged, but depending on what you're doing, of course, if you're highlighting a product, maybe you need the extra light. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So the moral of the story is that, homemade video is really, really important. It's really critical. It's such an easy way for you to market your business. You have to do it by design, though. You have to do it intentionally. You almost have to, it's okay for it to be imperfect. It's okay for it to be messy, but it's kind of intentionally that way. And because it has to come off as authentic, but you still can do it by design. So it's really kind of that balance of really making it intentional, but imperfect. I hope that makes sense. I mean, I think we've kind of talked about it at great lengths to help our audience understand what we mean by that. But I'm going to ask you to put in the trigger words off the cuff and shine, hashtag off the cuff and shine in the comment box. If you want me, because I have an offer for you, I want to send you a video text that I had done recently to a client. I did and as an example for you to kind of check out what I've done and the kind of the steps I followed in the video text. I'm obviously talking to a client and so I'm thanking them for coming to an event. And, that's one way I use my video text. So I'm going to send that link to you and put it in I'm going to put it in the comment box. Just put in the hashtag off the cuff and shine. If you want to get it, I can also private message you with it in case that's better. So just keep that in mind that if you want to start, becoming a regular and consistent with this kind of video, just do it. Just get started. And one of the main takeaways here today, because we always wrap up with the waistUPwardrobe weekly wrap up. The main takeaway here is just start with what you've got. And start with the people that are close to you. If you're having a little bit of anxiety about putting this out there to your client, sending a text message to a client, then send one to, one of your kids, send one to a parent and see how it's received. I guarantee you will always get a response when you video text somebody, okay? That's why this is such a great tool. Use your iPhone. Some tips to remember is use your iPhone, use your computer, use what's accessible to you, and do your video texting or your homemade videos when maybe you're a little bit dressed up for something else. That can make it really easy to transition into doing it and lead you into this comfort zone of being able to do it on a regular basis, whether you're dressed up or you're not dressed up, whether you're just getting out of bed and you want to do a makeup tutorial or you are kind of dialed in with your outfit and you just want to say hello to a client. And finally, I just want to talk about some tools that we talked about. Remember, get a tripod if you have to move away and demonstrate with a product, or showcase a product. It's nice to have that tripod so you can walk away, or a selfie stick. And the other thing I'm going to mention that I mentioned earlier is the Video Traction Lab. The Video Traction Lab is a group that was created by a video production company, friends of mine, the Geffners, the Geffner Production Group, and they have created a hub, a place where people can go to get immediate feedback on how to make video and how to be held accountable and to be consistent putting out video. And we are putting the link to the Video Traction Lab. If this is something you want to join, if you want to get some regular feedback on your homemade videos that you are making yourself, it's a great place it's a great hub. It's a great community for you to join. So you can go ahead and look at that link, join, just click on the link that's in the comment box and see if that's something you're interested in. You will actually not regret just even learning about it, because it is such a great forum for people who really understand how important video is, and that they can't really be doing professional video every week, but they can definitely be doing homemade video themselves, right? And putting it out there. So, action item, go make a 60-second video to somebody, whether it's a family member or a client, and put it out there and see what happens. I guarantee you will get a response. So there you have it, the Waist Up Wardrobe weekly wrap up, where we tell you everything from takeaways to tips to tools and give you some action items. Go make that 60-second video. And thank you for joining us here today for this really important topic. I know it seems like very unusual to put out a homemade video to somebody, to a client especially, but it's a real great way to connect with them on a regular basis. So go ahead, go do it, go get into action and do that. And meet us next week right here in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio, where I'm going to be interviewing an expert on how to interview on camera, how to conduct an interview, whether you're the person interviewing or you're the interviewer, and how to show up professionally in this virtual world on camera when you're trying to acquire a job or you're trying to give somebody a job. Don't miss that. If you are somebody who has a team, if you are somebody who searches for people on a regular basis to join other teams, if you want to know how to interview for a job, it is the place for you to be next week, next Thursday at 11:30 live here, Pacific Standard Time, in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio on Facebook. So join us and tell a friend.